Captain Underpants and the Mysterious Midnight Monster. It was a dark and stormy night, and Timmy lay wide awake in his bed, staring at the ceiling. The rain pounded against the window, and every so often, a crack of thunder would rattle the house. But it wasn't the storm that kept Timmy from sleeping, it was something much more serious. Something was growling under the bed. Timmy clutched his blanket and stared at the shadows in the corner of his room. He knew it wasn't just his imagination. He had heard it, the low, rumbling growl of a monster. And not just any monster, a midnight monster. There was no time to waste. Timmy jumped out of bed, threw on his trusty towel cape, and pulled his underpants over his pajama bottoms. "This looks like a job for Captain Underpants," he declared in a hushed, heroic whisper. He knew exactly what he needed, his flashlight, his pillow shield, and his water bottle, aka his super monster spray. Timmy tiptoed out of his room, careful not to wake his parents. He made his way down the hallway to the most important stop on his journey, his sister Lucy's room. Opening the door, he found her sound asleep, tangled up in her blanket, with one leg hanging off the bed. "Psst! Socks!" Timmy whispered, shaking her shoulder. Lucy groaned and pulled the blanket over her head. "Go away, Captain Underpants. It's the middle of the night." "But there's a midnight monster under my bed," Timmy insisted. "And I need my sidekick." Lucy sat up and blinked at him, rubbing her eyes. "A midnight monster? Seriously?" "Yes, seriously," Timmy said, handing her a pair of mismatched socks. "Put these on. The monster is afraid of socks. It's the only thing that can stop it." Lucy sighed but couldn't resist the excitement in Timmy's voice. She pulled on the socks, grabbed her stuffed bunny as a weapon, and said, "All right, fine. Let's go defeat this monster." Together, Captain Underpants and Socks crept back into Timmy's room. The storm raged outside, making the whole adventure feel even more dramatic. They could hear the growling again, louder this time. It was definitely coming from under the bed. Timmy switched on his flashlight and shone it under the bed. All they could see were dust bunnies and a few lost toys. But then, from the shadows, came a low, rumbling growl. Lucy froze. What is that?" she whispered. Timmy puffed out his chest. "It's the midnight monster. I told you. But don't worry, I have a plan." He handed Lucy the super monster spray. "You keep that ready. If it attacks, spray it." Lucy held the water bottle like it was a high-tech monster weapon. "What's the plan?" she asked, eyeing the space under the bed. Timmy took a deep breath. "We lure it out with snacks." "Snacks?" Lucy raised an eyebrow. "Midnight monsters love snacks," Timmy explained. "Especially peanut butter crackers. I'll go get some from the kitchen." Before Lucy could argue, Timmy dashed out of the room and returned moments later with a plate of peanut butter crackers. He crouched by the bed and carefully slid one under it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, they heard it, the sound of something sniffing under the bed, followed by a soft crunching noise. Lucy's eyes went wide. It's eating the cracker." Timmy nodded. "Exactly according to plan." Suddenly, The bed shook, and the monster emerged from the shadows, except it wasn't a monster at all. It was Mr. Whiskers, their cat, who had somehow gotten stuck under Timmy's bed during the storm. Mr. Whiskers. Lucy laughed, dropping the water bottle. You're the midnight monster? Mr. Whiskers looked up at them, completely unbothered by his new title, and continued munching on the cracker. Timmy sighed in relief, but also with a hint of disappointment. I guess he wasn't a monster after all. Lucy ruffled his hair. Good job, Captain Underpants. You saved us from the fearsome Mr. Whiskers. Just then, the storm outside seemed to calm down, and the growling stopped. Well, I guess our job here is done, Timmy said, scooping up Mr. Whiskers. Another victory for Captain Underpants and Socks. Lucy yawned and stretched. Can we go back to bed now, Captain? Yeah, I guess so. But just in case, Timmy said, pulling his blanket back over him, you should keep an eye out for any real midnight monsters. Lucy smiled and gave him a playful salute. Don't worry, Captain. Socks is always on guard. And so, with Mr. Whiskers curled up at the foot of the bed, Captain Underpants and his trusty sidekick Socks settled down to sleep, knowing that the world, or at least their bedroom, was safe once again from the dreaded midnight monsters.